Hello, everybody, and welcome to HTF Bets, our live Thursday show here on the Hitting the Field Network. I'm Riley Sheppard. On today's episode, we're talking NBA play-in, playoff talk. We're talking NFL mock draft, and as always, our surefire picks of the week. So don't go anywhere because HTF Bets starts now.
Hit it, boys. What are you talking about?
Welcome back, everybody. Kellie Campbell to my right, Jeffrey Laux to my left, and over there on the couch is Ezra Hines. Ezra, how are we doing today?
I'm doing great. Happy to talk NBA today.
Yeah, like Ezra said, we're talking some NBA play-in. There are a lot of games to finalize that seeding in the NBA playoff standings. So Ezra, talk a little bit about the last couple games. What was the best game over the last 2 days?
Well, the best game over the last couple days,
Yeah.
I would probably say the Toronto Raptors versus Chicago Bulls. And it's very sad that I'm saying that because I did bet on the Raptors to win that game midway through the game while they were up 15. And they ended up blowing the lead because they decided to miss 18 free throws. So that's great. Good job, Toronto. Try again next year.
Now, the Miami Heat and the Chicago Bulls play tomorrow night to get that 8-seed winner-go-home game. Jeff, do we have the Heat or do we have the North coming out?
No, I'm riding with the Heat, and that's because
Correct.
the last game they just played, that was a tough loss to the Atlanta Hawks. But I really think that Jimmy B and Bam Adebayo, those guys are going to come together, and the leadership among that team will lead them past the Chicago Bulls. The Chicago Bulls are just too up and down for me right now. Like,
That part,
Zach LaVine will have a really great night and then a really bad night. Same thing for DeMar DeRozan. Really good night, really bad night. I just don't see consistency, and Nikola Vucevic has not made a difference like I thought he would for that team.
Now, a lot of people in that game the other night against the Heat and the Hawks, a lot of people had the Heat coming out. They thought it was going to be a walk in the park. Ezra, what happened? What happened to Miami?
Miami's just lack of scoring really hurts them a lot. So, and I like what Jeff brought up with the Bulls earlier, which I think will help the Heat in this Bull series. Zach LaVine in the season series against the Heat has only averaged 19 points per game. I think that if the Heat can contain Zach LaVine in this series, they come out on top, but they kind of struggled to contain Trae Young, so that kind of scares me now. So now they got a lot more to fight for, and I'm still taking the Heat as well, but they've shown some flashes that they're not looking too hot.
Kelly, the Heat are opening as 4.5-point favorites over the Chicago Bulls. Do you like that? Do you like that spread? Do you think? Yeah.
I do. I like it. I think the Heat's going to win a little bit more than 4.5. But I do have them taking the first game in this series. And I think Miami's on a come up. I think maybe this is finally the year they do something in the playoffs. Because it has been a while since, it hasn't been a while, but it's done. They want to get better. They want to get back to like the level they were playing at in the early 2000s. So I think this year they could definitely make a run for that.
Just what to be thinking.
I disagree, too.
Yeah, the depth, and I can throw it to you with Max Strus, with Duncan Robinson. Them boys are not playing that hot. It's just like the star core players in the Miami Heat are showing out. Like Kyle Lowry, honestly
Lowry balled
surprising
out.
me.
Yeah,
Had a good
he did.
Had a good game. But no, the Heat are lacking so much depth. Oh my God, they have nobody off that bench for scoring right now.
And of course, if they do defeat Chicago, they have to play Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis. So
they're not getting
They
past
seem to like that
yeah.
series a lot. They did beat the Bucks one time, so hey. you
hey,
never know.
do the Heat have any chance against the Bucks, Ezra?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely. Okay. Is it going to be a sweep? Gentleman sweep? What?
Gentlemen sweep.
Gentleman sweep. You think they'll pick up one?
Yeah, I think they'll get one at home, honestly.
Oh my
And
goodness.
of course, in the West, the fight for that 8th seed between the OKC Thunder and the Minnesota Timberwolves tomorrow night at 9:30. Jeff, what do we like against this in this one-game series?
Honestly, I think the way the Timberwolves are playing, I think that they could possibly pull the upset just because against the Lakers, they look like a complete team. Even when they were fighting against the refs, against a lot of the ways of the game that were going against them, they were still coming out on top. Like Anthony Edwards really is he's a fun guy to watch. I think that he can play on the defensive side, he can play on the offensive side, and he has the IQ overall to get his team back together. I just don't know how the addition of Rudy Gobert will change things because it seems like most of the guys don't like him. But I mean, well, I guess we'll have to see.
And OKC, of course, coming off that thrilling 123-118 win over New Orleans last night. SGA 32-5-3. Josh Giddey 31-10-9, and Lou Dort 27-5. Ezrah, OKC's cooking up something. They have a really exciting young core. Do you think they're going to lock up that 8 seed? The Timberwolves open as a 4.5-point favorite, which I don't know. I like OKC in this series, in this playing game. What do you think?
I'm glad you said that. I love OKC in this series. I think you should be betting down on OKC right now. I know with Rudy Gobert coming back, it's going to limit their paint scoring. OKC loves to score in the paint.
Yeah.
But they've shown that they can do well against a team with a very dominant center. Jonas Valanciunas just had a very good game against them last night. They looked perfectly fine. They looked capable of beating this type of team. And honestly, with the way the Timberwolves are playing right now, they don't look that great. And they're losing. They lost their best defender right before the playoffs. So having nobody particularly amazing guarding Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to hurt them a lot.
Yeah, I mean, the Timberwolves just came off that overtime loss to the Lakers. Kelly, do you think that's going to really impact them tomorrow night?
I think it could, and I also think the Jaden McDaniels injury is going to affect them in this game as well. So I think that's something to think about. I mean, a lot of weird hand injuries happening in the NBA this past week. So, I mean, I think that's definitely going to be a factor as well. But the Thunder, they're also the second youngest team in the league, right? So it's kind of cool to see them making strides like this, being such a young team. But, I mean, I always like an underdog, so I'll go with the Thunder.
Now, if the Thunder, I think we're all rooting for the Thunder, but I don't think they really stand a chance against Denver, unfortunately. They're going to have to match up. If they win this game, obviously, Timberwolves still have a chance, win or go home. But I want to get into some series that may actually be competitive outside of the 1 versus 8. Starting Saturday, the first playoff game of the 2023 season is the 6-seeded Brooklyn Nets against the number 3 seed Philadelphia 76ers. Jeff, I want to start with you. What are some things to look for in this series?
And you were talking to me earlier about it. Mikal Bridges. Some of these guys, they're hooping. I mean, it's a whole different Nets team than the beginning of the year Nets team, but they traded out some pieces for some pieces, and I think that overall, I think the team has come together on like a unity standpoint. They're like, yeah, we just had Harden, Durant, Kyrie Irving all here, but now we're just a bunch of young dudes. I think that they're out there and they're just going to give it their all.
No, I agree. Of course, Harden, league leader in assists, and the Philadelphia 76ers ranked since Harden came back from that foot injury in December. They posted the second best record, the NBA best record. They're 42-16 since December 9th. They've posted the second best offensive rating and the second best net rating. Ezra, I want to ask you, do you think what kind of series are we looking like? Do you think the 76ers are going to sweep the younger Nets? What are we thinking?
Absolutely not. This is going to be a very gritty series for the Philadelphia 76ers because of one big thing. Doc Rivers coaching in the playoffs.
Okay.
He is very bad at making adjustments midway through the playoffs. We saw that through last year and the years with the Clippers. He does not make adjustments. So if he sees something wrong, he doesn't fix it. So that's one thing they need to fix really badly. If they fix that, fair enough. They'll get the sweep. But Mikal Bridges is a different breed right now, and honestly, he's looking like the second version of KD. I've said it many times, but he's looking very good in that Nets uniform, and he could give them problems for 100%.
Kelly, who are you taking in the series? The 76ers?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I'm just going to take the 76ers. Like, literally one of the very few notes I wrote on this was just Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
So I think he's a superstar player. He's having amazing games recently. So I think literally because of a player like him, I think the 76ers are going to excel.
I think Joel, of course, is going to have his way. But I am so intrigued by that matchup between him and Nick Claxton.
Yes.
Claxton has been such an emerging defensive player this season. I don't know where he ranks in blocks per game, but he's been so fun to watch on the defensive end. I don't know if Claxton is going to stand a chance, but do you think he's going to have some games where he locks up Joel?
I don't think there's any locking up Joel, I'll be honest.
Unfortunately.
But if he can hold him to, this sounds stupid on paper, but if he could hold him to like 25 or 20 instead of 30, they stand a little bit better of a chance.
Jeff, I want to ask you, outside of the series that we've talked about, what other series are you really, really intrigued by?
Definitely the Sacramento Golden State series, because I think that people are sleeping on the Sacramento Kings. They're like, oh, the Golden State Warriors, the championship guys. But I think the Sacramento Kings are just like well-rounded as a team. They have distributors, they have scorers, they have like big defensive like icons on their squad. I think De'Aaron Fox has been waiting for this moment for a long while to actually prove to everyone that the Sacramento Kings are real and they're here to stay. So
it's just so sad that this great season from them is about to be ended by the Golden State Warriors. It's really upsetting. But I do like this series. I mean, it's obviously two Cali teams. They're both gonna. I don't know if anyone's really gonna have home court advantage.
Right.
Ezra, who are you taking?
Out of the series, I'm going to be taking the Warriors, and I'm going to be taking them in a gentleman's sweep in 5. I think the Kings will get 1.
Ooh.
The one thing they lack so much playoff experience. They
You're right.
haven't touched the playoffs in so long. They lack that
I don't
heavily.
know how many players on the Kings were actually alive the last time they were in the playoffs, but I don't think it's very many. Do you think the experienced Golden State Warriors are going to?
Yeah. It's Steph Curry. I don't know what happens, what he turns on when he gets to the playoffs, but he's just something special. And I think with also his, I mean, this is my pick of the week, but it's a few of his guys. If they get active too, I think their offense is just too fast for the Kings.
No, I agree. I'm also taking the Warriors. Unfortunately, that is all the time we have for NBA. Ezra will be joining us a little bit later, but don't go anywhere because Jeff is heading over to the green screen to give us his top 10 in this month's NFL draft. We'll be right back.
Welcome to HTF Hot Takes. I'm Johnny Jackson. We've got Emily Aaron to my right and Maluka Costa to my left.
Hello and welcome to our segment of Hot Ones. I'm here with Noah Kemper and Grant
Wheeler.
Yep, I knew that. Grant Wheeler.
Listen, I'm a Bulls fan, but I just can't ever argue against LeBron. I watched him my whole life.
I've been going back and forth with this debate for a long time. It's got to be Michael Jordan.
Whatever she wanted. I would wake up in a maid costume for Doja Cat.
Brutal.
Jeffrey Laux, no question.
Richie, I would give it to Richie.
It is not Richie. It is not Richie.
No, it's Jeff.
Richie's pronouns are he, they, because he cannot be him.
What?
Oh, wait,
I'm gonna have to also agree and say Jeff. He always is spiffy.
it might be Cameron. Cameron's had some good fits.
Out of the women, Riley always dresses really, really cute.
Oh. That went so awful.
It's basketball.
College football, I think, is the best sport to watch. If you don't like soccer, it's because you suck at it.
I think college football is the best.
Thanks for watching.
Welcome back with the NFL draft just a few weeks away. It's crazy to think about. Jeff cooked up his top 10 mock draft, so I'm going to let him take it away.
Now look at this draft right here. This is what the teams need, and this is what I think is really going to happen. I didn't allow any trades after the finalization of the trades that happened in the offseason, but to start it off, we have C.J. Stroud going to the Panthers. And listen, I think that C.J. Stroud is probably the best quarterback in this draft class, hands down. Second, I have Bryce Young going to the Texans. The overall disputed number 1 pick, he's going to the Texans. I'm sorry. Number 3, Will Anderson Jr. is going to the Cardinals. Number 4, Anthony Richardson is going to the Colts. Number 5, the Seahawks are going to be selecting their new defensive interior lineman, Jalen Carter. He is going there. Number 6, we have Christian Gonzalez going to Riley's Detroit Lions because they need some cornerback help. Number 7, we have Tyree Wilson, the edge defender, going to the Raiders. Number 8, we have the second cornerback off the board, Devon Witherspoon, going to the Falcons. Number 9, we have the first offensive tackle taken off the board with Paris Johnson Jr. from the Ohio State Buckeyes going to the Bears. And then we have the most controversial pick, Brian Branch from Alabama going to the Eagles. So let's break into this. So first off, I think that C.J. Stroud, he is going to ball out. I mean, he's a 2-year starter for a program with a high-octane offense. Yes, he had weapons like JSN, Marvin Harrison, some of these other dudes, but I think that a team like the Panthers could surround him with some weapons, maybe some late-round picks, and he could be a solid option. And I honestly think that Bryce Young will go second before him because there's been no other QB that's been weighed in under 207 pounds that's been drafted in the round 1. That is a big question mark. Is his size going to affect his draft mobility? I don't know. That's something we're going to have to see. And Will Anderson, I think he's going to be the first defensive player taken off the board. I mean, Will Anderson is just absolutely a monster at the edge position. I just think that he's sized for a 3-4 front, and that a team that selects him he's going to be another Pro Bowl player, just like the 5th pick in the draft, Jalen Carter. Because I know all the offseason stuff happened, but that man, you cannot deny talent. And the defensive tackle position is so crucial in the NFL right now. There's not enough good defensive tackles. And if you can get your hands on an elite rookie defensive tackle like Jalen Carter, then you're going to be super, super happy. I mean, Jalen Carter single-handedly carried that Georgia defense for a minute, and that team had dogs on it. I mean, Nolan Smith, dog. Keely Ringo, dog. I mean, all those guys are some beasts, but Jalen Carter made some amazing plays. So I think that to round out my top 6, Christian Gonzalez is also going to end up with the Lions because he's the best corner in the draft. They just traded their former first-round draft pick in Jeff Okudah, and I think they need some cornerback help. I know there's questions about the defensive line. There's questions about certain other positions in that group, but you have to take the best player on the board available, and a guy that fills out the position that can start day one is Mr. Christian Gonzalez. I mean, he's going to be a solid center or cornerback 1 starting out in his year 1. I think he's possibly going to be a Pro Bowl starter. I mean, his athleticism, his IQ, there's nothing to really slant on the guy. Guys, I'm curious.
No.
Are you rocking with my drafts? Or
Now,
are you not?
I do want to introduce, I completely forgot to introduce Ron Perretti. Ron, thank you so much for joining us. Now, I'm just going to let you roast. What is wrong with Jeff's mock draft?
You know what? I'll give you the good news first. The defensive players aren't bad. I think Tyree Wilson's actually going to go up above Jalen Carter just because Jalen Carter, we know he has some issues surrounding him. But, Jeff, did Will Levis stop playing football for a second? Why is he not in your top 10? I need to know.
No, really, yeah.
Will Levis is not better than the top 3 quarterbacks I have going in the first
Yes,
round.
he
in the
is.
top 10. No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
Explain, Kelly.
No, I actually have Will Levis going 4 to the Colts because I have him getting taken before AR. If AR did not have the combine that he had, he would not be being talked about like he is right now.
I completely agree.
He would not be in the first round conversation. He would not be a top 32 pick. It wouldn't happen.
You know
it's because of that combine performance that he had, which is why he's being touted so highly.
Yeah.
He did not play that great at Florida. Did you watch him play
and
actual football during the season?
No, I don't mean to cut off Kelly, but you were saying how much Jalen Carter carried the Georgia defense, with all the dogs on that team. What did Anthony Richardson carry for the Florida Gators?
Nothing.
And let's not pretend like Jalen Carter was not talked about as a number 1 pick before. I just don't. Why is Jalen Carter falling below Anthony Richardson?
Look, I think that Jalen Carter, just because of off-field things and also only meeting with the top 10 teams, I think it's going to put a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. I think that's going to be a trigger pick where it's like, who's the best player available at this position? I think that the Seahawks really need to pack up that interior defensive line, especially with losing Puna Ford, a lot of those other good interior defensive linemen. I think that they're going to have to replace him with Jalen Carter, and his motor is ridiculous. I mean, if you go watch his tape, he just absolutely shreds through the interior offensive lineman. He smothers them. You saw when he picked up that running back. I mean, the dude is a complete beast, and I don't think we've seen a defensive lineman like him in a long while. And let me get back to you on your Will Levis and Anthony Richardson debate. Anthony Richardson is and could be the most. Let me say this. He has the best potential to be the best quarterback out of this draft class. He has elite athleticism. His size is ridiculous. I mean, he will succeed or fail based on his ability to play within a team's scheme, especially if a team doesn't want to scheme with him. But I think the Colts will rock with him. I mean, I think that C.J. Stroud obviously is going number 1. He can do better on his feet. Bryce Young number 2 because of his size. But I truly think that Anthony Richardson will go way ahead of Will Levis. And Will Levis is going to fall in the top 10. Let's just be real right here. I think Will Levis really didn't show us anything that's different than the average NFL or average college QB coming out of the draft. I feel like he can run decent. He can throw decent.
He has almost the same exact stats as AR. They are off by their touchdowns interceptions ratio is very, very close. The only thing AR had more than him is maybe a couple hundred rushing yards. They both play in the SEC. Their numbers are almost identical. Come on.
Is Will Levis 6'4"? Is he 244 pounds? Does he have a
Will
arm
Levis
length
is
of
definitely
32,
just about as big. He's huge.
He's 6'3", 220.
He's just right there. He is right there.
I just like the
I think he's more developed than Anthony Richardson. He did not get the development that he needed at Florida, which sucks because I really think if AR didn't go to the draft this year, played somewhere else like in Oregon or in Oklahoma, I think he could have got that development, and then we could have been talking about him as the quarterback.
I think we all agree that the Colts are going to take a quarterback at 4. Ron, if you are the Indianapolis Colts, are you taking Anthony Richardson or Will Levis?
I think, personally, I'm an Anthony Richardson type of guy, but knowing the Colts, they'll take Will Levis. I actually think Your team is gonna take Anthony Richardson.
No.
So do I.
We talked about it.
No.
I was thinking the Seahawks were gonna take him, but then they did just sign Geno Smith that did extension, so I think he's gonna fall back to the Lions.
So do
No.
I.
You need a quarterback, Riley. You need
we
a quarterback.
don't.
Jared Goff is not the quarterback of the future. You finally have
We had one of the
decent
best
team.
ranked offenses in the league last season, but we
What'd you
had
guys
one of
do-
the
and
worst.
What did you guys do with it?
We finished 8-9
Yeah.
after
playoffs.
because of our defense.
Listen.
It had
Detroit-
nothing to do with our offense, which is why I don't hate Jeff's pick. If Christian Gonzalez is available at 6 and Jalen Carter is not, or Will Anderson, which I don't think they will, I would take Christian Gonzalez. I don't hate the pick at all. But if any of those guys, if it's Christian Gonzalez or Anthony Richardson,
But-
I'm
I think
taking.
it's a
Here's my thing, because last year y'all took Aiden Hutchinson, a great defensive player, and he made a difference in your defense for sure. But if you lose Jared Goff, who do you have behind him? If you lose Aiden Hutchinson, you have some guys, and your defense
Yeah,
still sucks.
but-
But if you lose your quarterback, who do you have? Nobody.
We can take a quarterback in the fifth, fourth round,
I think
but
you take
we
Anthony
need a
Richardson and
difference.
develop
We
him
need a
under
difference-making
Jared Goff.
defensive player, which is what I think Christian Gonzalez is. We need a difference-making defensive player way more than a quarterback. Jared Goff didn't have a bad season last year by any means at all.
If he gets hurt, who do you have?
We get a quarterback in the 5th round.
I
We
think
don't.
that's a
We don't
reach.
need we don't need a first-round
I
quarterback.
think Gonzalez at 6 is a reach, though. I would take Tyree Wilson. Would you take Hooker at 18 if he's still there?
Guys, I'm just curious. Who do you think will be the first defensive player drafted? Do you think it's unanimously Will Anderson? Do you
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
it's going to
Yeah,
slide to
for
Jalen Carter?
Definitely.
Yeah, I think especially because all the issues that Carter had that we won't into, but I think all that just kind of gives Will Anderson. And wasn't for most of the year, if I remember correctly, Will Anderson was like the #1 pick, because I don't remember who had the
Between
pick.
him and Jalen Carter, yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
I
wait.
mean they're both top pick talent for sure. But I think Will Anderson should be the first player off the board. I think just what he can do. He's a leader of a defense. Jeff, I want to ask you, who is going to be? Who do you think is going to be the #3 pick if Will Anderson doesn't get picked up?
I can see it possibly being Jalen Carter, but I
Yeah.
also see it being, a trade up for a team that is, risking it for the biscuit like Kelly wants for Will Levis to get drafted first. I mean, I think that Will Levis, he possibly could get traded up for. I still don't think he'll go past Anthony Richardson, but if we're going to keep it at where it's at right now, I would be cool with, Tyree Wilson. Tyree
Yeah.
Wilson is just long, athletic specimen. I think that overall that spot is a great spot to be in, but unless you want a QB, then it's going to be a bit questionable. I'm curious from y'all, who do you think will be the first quarterback drafted? Do you agree with me with CJ Stroud, or do you think
think
Bryce
it's gonna
Young
be
will jump
Bryce
him
Young.
again?
I think it's Bryce Young. I just think he fits Carolina's offense better, and I think he'll work with Matt Rule better. I think just because of his coach from Bama, I just think that'll work better than the Ohio State quarterback personally. But I do think CJ Stroud would fit awesome with the Texans.
I think Bryce Young will probably go first, but I think C.J. Stroud's by far the better quarterback when you compare it. I mean, you look at the game he had against Georgia. I mean, that's a performance right there. That's an NFL-type quarterback.
Yeah. No, I also think Stroud. But that is all the time we have for NFL Mock Draft Talk. Ron isn't going anywhere. Ezra's coming back for Pick of the Week. So we will be right back. We are back for Surefire Picks of the Week. I've had a little bit of a comeback. Now we're at 6-6. Kelly had a slow couple weeks, so that's why I'm going to let her start off with her Pick of the Week.
Listen, it's fine. Well, we touched on this a little bit earlier, but the Sacramento Kings versus the Golden State Warriors, which is, I believe, this Saturday at 8 o'clock?
8:30.
8:30.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So anyways, I think the Warriors are going to win. I I think really they've had trouble playing on the road this season, but the last 2 games they've had, even though it was end of the season, people pulled out a lot of their starters, they did get those 2 road wins. So I think because they kind of got a feeling like, okay, we can win on the road, I think the Warriors get it done. I think Steph and Jordan Poole and Klay Thompson are just going to get really active. And I just think their offense it's too fast. They're not going to be able to defensively stop them. So I'm taking the Warriors in this first game.
The Kings' defense is really, really bad. But I do want to talk about a good defensive player for my surefire pick of the week, and that is Jaren Jackson Jr. The Defense Player of the Year winner is announced this Tuesday, and I think it's going to be Mr. Triple J from the Memphis Grizzlies. He's led the league in blocks in back-to-back years. Last season, 2.3 blocks per game. This season made that jump to 3 blocks per game, and I also just want to touch on his 9.6 block percentage was the 7th highest since the league started recording the stat 50 years ago. So I think Jaren Jackson Jr. is going to beat out Brook Lopez for the award. Ron.
Okay, some people are going to be happy with me in studio, some people are going to be upset. My surefire pick is the Los Angeles Lakers. LeBron James and Anthony Davis will come back. They'll actually win the championship, but that's not what we're trying to get into today. They'll actually beat the Grizzlies.
No way.
They'll
He just
dominate
said
this
that.
game. You guys remember me. They'll dominate this game. I am as confident in the Los Angeles Lakers as I was in Jorge Masvidal.
What you sipping?
Jorge
on
Masvidal
now?
didn't turn out too good.
Oh,
The
man.
Los Angeles Lakers will. They'll beat him. Jaren Jackson's going to be in foul trouble. Bet on every single LeBron prop because he's going over. Last time, he told the Grizzlies, this is my last time being disrespected. I don't play that. And that's why he's going to come out and dominate. Lakers money line. Let's go.
Now, I do like the pick for the Lakers to win. Championship, that's a whole different talk. But, Ezra, what is your surefire pick of the week?
All right, so first of all, that was awful saying the Lakers were going to win the championship. Second of all, my surefire pick of the week is the Clippers versus the Suns this Sunday, April 16th at 8 p.m. I have it being the easiest selection ever to take the Suns because the Clippers lack a lot right now without Paul George. They look fine, but they just don't look like they can be competitive with a Kevin Durant, Chris Paul, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton. That team just feels too big for them. They have a 7.5 spread right now. The Phoenix Suns are right now sitting at 290 favorite, while the Clippers are at a plus 235. There's an over-under in the game for 226. I think that'll be over for sure. And there's actually a small bet, or a same-game bet, for Westbrook to get 20 points. That is a plus 140. I would make that bet immediately because who else is going to score
That is
for
very
that
true.
Clippers team if Westbrook is not scoring with Kawhi Leonard alongside him? But honestly, you got to take the Suns here.
Brody's about the ball. That's what I'm hearing right now.
That's facts.
Without Paul George, yeah, like Kawhi's gonna obviously he's been playing his best basketball this season, but yeah, without Paul George, the Clippers don't stand a chance.
Agreed.
Jeff, what is your surefire pick of the week?
We are taking the Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Knicks, and you know who we're riding with. We're riding with Cleveland Cavaliers. I think that
come on.
they're favored by 5.5, and it's gonna keep on going because them boys are a complete team. They're a complete powerhouse, and people are sleeping on them in this Eastern Conference right now. Everyone's saying, "Oh, Bucks, oh, Celtics." No, Cleveland Cavs. And just like you said about the inexperience about the Kings, I think that the inexperience of the Cavs will bless them up because I truly believe that they match up really well with a lot of teams with their size and versatility.
Agreed.
I believe Darius Garland, a lot of these young proteges have become, one of one. And I think that Mobley's going to ball. So watch out for them. Take the Cavs. Save your money.
Facts.
Save ya money. Jeff, relax. Jeff, that was good. I think the Cavs are gonna win the series, but they might drop you.
Last but not least.
Oh, I had my pick of the week already, but that is all the time we have for this week. We will be back next week for our final episode of the season. Ezra, thank you. Ron, thank you. For Kellie Campbell and for Jeffrey Laux. That is all the time we have for this week. We will see you next week.
Things gon' change when I really hit the field. Undefeated chance, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in the field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. 3 rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max. When I hang it up, they gon' have to give me plaques. Step up in the building and I only bring the facts. When I make a highlight, they gon' replay, run it back, okay? Always locked in, now I don't got time to lax.